Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Dr. Laura Griffith Garland joining us here again. I must say, am I biased to call you one of my favorite guests? Really, you are. You're amazing. Her energy, her spirit, and what she does is so beneficial to so many people. And she's really helping you all live your best life. Dr. Laura, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Sure. I am a shaman and a life coach. So I take my life coaching from a very, very spiritual perspective. And the idea is I want people to live indeed their best life. That is what I want. That is what I live for, is watching people change for the better. And interestingly, that's kind of the topic today.
Yay!
Is change. But the cards that came up were fear, change, and acceptance.
Ooh.
And fear's a powerful motivator. And many people live immersed in this energy all day long, every day. It can be tough to watch.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law is pretty much afraid of everything. And it just makes it really tough for her to do things because she's so afraid of anything that is slightly different. And it's just it's become the way of our lives, this fear. I mean, if you think about the messages we hear and see all day long. So we hear and see messages that tell us to fear all kinds of things, like not having enough money. We're hearing about inflation, not having enough money. Not wearing the right clothes. That you open a magazine and that's
you
what those
feel.
Those ads are showing you, not living in the right part of town. Just last night, I saw an ad for a new condo complex that they're putting up in my area, and it was all about how other parts of town were not good to live in, and I was just sitting there going, wow, that's just really kind of rude, telling me that the part of town I live in is not good enough.
Not as good as,
fear your neighbors, fear ticks, fleas, mosquitoes. Granted, they do carry diseases, but I mean, there's this whole fear, and of course, fear COVID, and now it's fear monkeypox.
I know what's happening.
I don't know. And you live in the New York City area. And there's like over 1,000 cases in the New York City area. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then you also live in the New York City area, and it's fear polio, because there's some person, I think in their early 20s, who has
I didn't even
debilitating
hear that.
polio.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
I guess never. I mean, wait, the truth is, I don't think I got that vaccine. I know my parents had it because they had the
that's the smallpox.
Oh, okay. So I'm wrong.
That's the smallpox.
Are most babies?
Polio is usually a drink, and
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's usually a little drink. Although I think they have one where they spray it up your nose or something like that. Okay. I don't know. I haven't had it in the polio vaccine in a really long time. So yeah, you're looking at that and going, I haven't had the polio vaccine in a really long time. Should I go get one of these things? So, it's fear. Any other messages you can think of fear recently?
Oh my God, there's fear. People are even feelers of just talking to people. I know someone who stutters, and I met someone at the movie theater over the weekend, and he's like, I'm so sorry, when I spoke to you earlier, I was stuttering. And I said, you know what, Anthony? I said, I didn't even notice. So we all have our own fears, and fears are also insecurities that bring some of those things out. Yeah.
Right.
This is a very nice kid at the movie theater who helped us. And I went over him and I thanked him and he was just so kind. And I got the manager to thank him. And then I came out of the movie and he was just like, I'm so sorry. I stuttered. And I'm like, he's like, I have a fear of speaking. I'm like, didn't even know. So there's
Yeah.
different fears everywhere. Yeah.
Right. 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 And then what about change? For many people, this fear has seriously ramped up in like the last decade. Change, not allowed change, can't have change. And it's really been pushed.
Yeah.
Um, this is why I said fear of neighbors a few minutes ago,
Yeah.
because we have a weapons manufacturer,
Mm-hmm.
gun manufacturer here in our state, and I saw an ad this last weekend, and they were careful on how they skirted it, but it really implies fear your neighbors if they, and especially if they aren't like you. And I was just like, oh wow, that's really buying into that crazy fear. And that's it's something that's become the bread and butter of like political ads.
Mm-hmm.
And because we see them so much, they just kind of permeate. So I think it's important to mention it, because there's a really weird dissonance that goes on if you actually listen to these ads.
Yeah.
Um, because on the one hand, they're saying we don't want any change. As a matter of fact, let's go back to 1950.
Mm.
Um, so no change. Let's have no change. While at the same time, they say the only way you can have change is if we put somebody new in who's going to radically change everything. And I'm just like, oh, wait, we
Wait a
want
sec.
no change by
Yep.
having radical change.
Yep. Of course.
And so this
Always
creates
the
a
way.
dissonance in the mind. And anytime there's a disconnect like that, um, it's kind of like a short circuit,
Mm-hmm.
literally in your brain, and it makes your brain do really weird thoughts and kind of can
Yeah.
seep over into other areas because there's this little short circuit in there. It's really like a short circuit, and it affects other parts of your thinking and what's going on. So this fear of change is just, it's human, but there is a whole learning about it. Like we've been taught this.
Yep.
There, and I do have to say that there's probably a subset of listeners out there who don't fear change at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like their whole persona is about change, and that might indeed be reactionary to all of the stuff that they either see or hear or what went on in their childhood. But that's not the most of us. Most of us have some sort of fear of change. Um, we don't even change our brands. Like something completely innocuous, like your laundry detergent.
Oh my gosh. I'm a sucker for Kirkland brand. Has to be the Kirkland brand detergent and the fabric softener. I don't even like Downy anymore. And I just went to my sister's yesterday and I brought her some and I'm like, she's like, your clothes always smell so good. I'm like, this is why it's Kirkland brand. But
Yeah.
I do try, and I got one from BJ's in comparison, their wholesale brand, and it's too watery and it doesn't smell as good. So I'm not, I'm open to trying, but
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
sticklers. It's
But
what we like sometimes.
yeah, so we can just we get into that pattern, and just changing something really even insignificant makes us do that.
Yep.
No, I can't do that. Like, then I challenge people the next time they go to the grocery store to reach for a different brand of something and see if their hand doesn't pause on the way to it and like try to track to their normal thing and and actually grab something different.
So true.
It
So
it
true.
just it's so very ingrained. And part of that is our brain makes habits. It's what we do. It's what our brain does. Our brain makes habits, and a habit is a shortcut. And our brain is all about making things as efficient as possible, absolutely as efficient as possible, because we actually only have so much decision space. They've kind of determined this. Like, there's literally only so many decisions you can make in a day before your
Yeah.
brain goes, no, just not doing it. And so habits can be really good, can be
True.
really helpful.
Yeah.
Routines, super helpful. Like the routine in the morning when you get up. If you have a really nice, clean routine in the morning, it can be really helpful, because then you're not using up your choices in the morning.
True.
Like,
Save them for, that's a good point. Yeah.
and so that sort of routine, changing that isn't what we're talking about. That's a good sort of thing. Like, you get up and you have that same pattern you do. It keeps your decision space available for later in the day
Yeah.
when you need it. This is why a lot of people set their clothes out at night.
I do.
I do too. I set my, and partially I learned that when I was in the Navy. Not that I had much choice then.
True, but
My choice then was, let's see, is it Monday, or, well, technically Saturday through Thursday, or is it Friday? Friday we wore a different uniform. The rest of the week it was, and then during that rest of the week it was, do I wear pants or a skirt?
oh yeah,
That's
so you
the
really
choice
had
I
slim
had.
pickings, but still,
Yeah,
it's good
that's
to
the
have
choice
it
I had.
arranged.
If
Oh,
I
and
was a,
no, and undergarments. You have to put undergarments on, so you got to have your bra,
yeah,
your underwear. So yeah,
yeah,
more
and
to it for us ladies.
for guys it was even less. They got to wear pants or
Yeah,
pants.
exactly.
you know and yes, as a gal I could choose between a round collared t-shirt or a v-neck t-shirt. Guys were not allowed that. um,
Interesting.
but I got into the habit of doing that when I was in the military, because I had to be up really early, and I'm not a morning person.
How early, by the way? Just curious. Do they wake you up at like 5, or is it like
um
6? Don't tell me it's
Oh,
like
when I
4.
when I was in my basic training, which really was officer school, we still were, that first week they woke us up at 4:30, and then
Mm-hmm.
after that they let us sleep in until 5.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. The first week it was the banging the garbage can lid,
Ah,
waking us up at 4:30, getting us out to march. Um,
wow.
um, but and there we had pretty much no choice at all. It was there were no choices then. But I'm not that morning person. I'm just not. I'm much more of a night owl. And so I have very, very stable routine in the morning. It gives me that decision
Mm-hmm.
block for later in the day. And I don't want to change that. I'm not going to
Love
change
it.
that.
Love
That
it.
is
Love it.
not something I am going to change.
Good.
But there are things that I do need to change, like my exercise routine. um, Exercise is really not my favorite thing. Oh
Ditto.
dear. Oh dear. And Marissa Peer, who's a
Oh, she develop the EFT, or what is it?
yeah. Well, it's a rapid
Rapid
transformation
therapy. Yes. Okay. Okay.
therapy. Yeah. Amazing teacher. She would tell me not to say that. She would tell me to say that exercise is my favorite thing if I want to change this habit.
You're like, ugh.
um, but that's it's a thing that I need to change, and I'm working on it. But every time I fall off of it a bit, there's this, I don't want to. there's the pause. There's that pause, that fear that I keep
Yep.
working with of changing to have a habit of doing something really good for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And eh, how do we make the change? How
Yeah.
do we make changes when we have that every time? Because we do. It is human nature. Like I said, there's that very small subset of people who changes their thing. But for the rest of us, not. And for some of us, it's really, really
Mm-hmm.
difficult. And this is where a coach comes in. So I work with people on this scary aspect of life all the time. It's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because they come to me because they want to be better. Um, whether it's straight up just have a better life, but sometimes it's just be a better person, be a better partner, be a better wife, a better husband, better at doing them with their money, better at something. It's always about trying to be better.
Better
and
yourself. Yeah.
and that requires change, because you can't be better if you keep doing exactly what you're doing right now.
True. Yeah, you become stagnant. You become stuck.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And that's what a lot of people feel, is that stagnant and that stuck. Um, and the main part of the reason is that fear of change.
yeah,
That it somehow blocks them. And they come up with all kinds of excuses. Same ones I've used to not exercise. So I know these, I know them really well. Which is why I can help people work through them, because I know what I've done to overcome it and how to move past it. Uh, I've been really good this summer. I'm up to working out 5 days a week. Now, I don't do a long workout.
great,
I
great.
don't like
Wow.
long workouts.
Okay.
And right now in menopause, I've got enough cortisol going on and enough
True.
inflammation,
True. Gotcha.
just due to that doing a workout that's inflaming, not a good thing. So I do something called a Tabata, which is 4 minutes of exercise,
Okay.
and I change it up every day. You actually alternate two different exercises in that 4 minutes. And so sometimes I'm doing strength training exercises like push-ups or curls, and sometimes I'm doing things like half jacks,
Mm-hmm.
or high knees or something to do some kind of cardio with it. But I've really worked on making that change to do that and finding the thing that I can do. And that, as a coach, when you want to change, that's what we work on. We work on finding the thing you can do. What you can do is
True.
different than what I can do. And so we really, really work on that. Um, and some of the blocks that come up are things like time. I don't have time. I fixed that one with my 4 minute exercise.
Yep.
Really hard to say I don't have 4 minutes somewhere in the day.
Mm-hmm. I know. I hear you. You're right.
Yeah, yeah, yep. But that's for me, you know. Um, then there's blocks like I don't have the energy. And I've personally run into that sometimes. Menopause, sometimes I'm not sleeping really well. Okay, a lot not sleeping really well. And so the energy sometimes is really down. But there's techniques that we can use to overcome that. Very careful usage of caffeine for some people is
Oh,
helpful.
true. True. Mm-hmm.
Careful usage, you know, don't guzzle caffeine all day long, but a careful usage, because some people really like their coffee and there's a lot of good things in coffee. But if you go 3 or 4 of them a day,
Eh,
not so good. So again, a very careful usage of the caffeine. A lot of people like their tea or something like that, as long as it's probably not so sweet.
yeah,
I
true.
live in the South, so sweet tea's the thing. And I oh gosh, It is one of the Southern things that I have kind of picked up. And I'm very careful with my use of sweet tea. But overcoming the energy is a thing. And then I just can't do that. I just, really?
Like,
You
wait,
just can't
what?
do that. You just can't. Well,
Mhm.
and then the question is, where is that coming from? Did your mom tell you that when you were 4?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have
Yeah.
a grandma who
Yeah.
said, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that? Did something happen where people were super overprotective and kept telling you you can't? Um, did you have teachers who told you you can't on a particular narrow thing or something, and then it kind of spreads out? It just starts to just go out all over your life. I can't, I can't, I can't. And so that's where when my shamanism comes in, because if you've got a block from when you're younger and something happened and you've got this, I can't.
Mhm.
Then I go back, and it's usually due to some sort of thing that either built up into a trauma or was a trauma. And things that are trauma for little kids, we as adults are like, whatever. But sometimes something said to a small child under the age of 7 can really be taken to heart, just really be taken to
Yeah.
heart. Like, mom is having a really bad day,
Mhm.
and hasn't gotten sleep, the flu's coming on, uh, whatever's going on, having a really bad day, and a little 4-year-old is singing their heart out, and mom says something terrible, like, shut up, you sing terribly, I don't ever want to hear that
And
again.
that could stick.
And that sticks. And then the next thing you know, I have someone in my office who can't speak in public at all, can't express themselves in public. And I go back and do a soul retrieval and find out when they were 4, mom told them to shut up and never do that again. And it kind of just oozed
Ah.
out from singing to any public expression. And that happens. So being able to do the shaman part really can help with that. I can't. Um, it's amazing the transformation that happens when we get rid of that block. Then we're still dealing with energy and time sometimes, but
Mhm.
those are much easier to overcome than I can't. Sometimes it's not something that actually happened in this life.
Wow.
Sometimes it's something that happened in a past life. And I've run into that quite a bit, where we get through time and energy and wanting and I can't, and we get through all of that, and we're still with a block, and it's like, okay, what's going on? And then
Mhm.
I go do a past life retrieval and find out, um, in a past life, they spoke out against some injustice, and next thing they know, they were the one hanging in town square. Um,
Wow. Yeah.
you know, oops, that's really gonna cut down on your self-expression going on. And That was actually a personal
Oh.
that was a
Oh.
personal thing I ran
Really?
into for myself, putting myself out there, um, and then did a past life retrieval for myself and found out exactly that. Oops. um,
Wow.
and so it was very enlightening, and it's really similar things for lots of other people. Um, uh, Being able to lift that burden, get rid of that, allows people to move forward
Mhm.
and do that change. And it's just amazing. And I haven't talked about acceptance yet. So, but this is really the key, because once we get through all of the blocks and get you to accepting the change,
Mm-hmm.
it happens like that. It's amazing, amazing, the transformation. You get to that acceptance place, and suddenly it just becomes part of your being, and you can make the change to be the better person, be a better parent, handle your money better, ask for a raise, whatever it is that you need to do to have a better life.
Yeah.
A lot of people, it's taking and using their passion in something, which may not be work. It may be a something on the side that they do. They don't, the passion doesn't have to be their job. And so, but having the ability to step into that really transforms a person's life when they can step into something where they feel they're using their passion. And
Yeah.
they've had all these fears, all these blocks put up, and we get rid of them, and then they step into it. I have a client who is now playing part-time in a band around town, getting gigs,
Mm-hmm.
and just, she has just lit up like crazy. She has her day job. She goes to her day job. Her passion is her music, and she does it
Wow.
part-time. And that, it's just amazing for her. She no longer feels stuck. She no longer feels like she's constrained, constricted. She's now this open,
Wow.
beautiful, giving person. And it's just amazing, the changes that people can get when you let go of your blocks and get to this acceptance place. So
Wow. So you had your own blocks. I'm assuming
yeah.
we all have. And you, now about the soul retrieval aspect of your work as well. So you're saying if you're working with someone and it's really the problem's not getting fixed, it could go further into past lives. So
Oh
then,
yeah.
and then what is the process of a soul retrieval? In a sense, how does that work?
Soul retrieval for the client, super easy. They get to lay on my table. It's a massage table, but you just lay there. And then I go and do a journey where I go and find the soul pieces. Essentially, they're in a different energetic dimension. I
Okay.
know it's really woo woo. Yeah, sure. but it also is really, really cool and really works. So you go into this different energetic dimension. I bring them back and reintegrate them into your body.
Wow.
Same thing happens with the past life. Usually on a past life, it's actually a past life soul retrieval is what's happening, because I'm going back to something that's not great and we need to fix it. And so that's what I do.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
And
just a,
does it take one session for that, or does that sometimes take
yeah,
longer?
no, one session
Wow.
does that. So
Awesome.
it's amazing, amazing things.
Great. And what other things do you offer before we go? Just remind our listeners, please.
Sure. So I do the soul retrievals, do the past life retrievals, and also I also do tarot readings. It's where I actually started with this, which often leads into finding other things that you want to work with and want to do, because you find you really do want to make the change.
Yeah.
And then the life coaching is all about getting to that better place, better life, better self.
Great. And how can we reach out to you?
Sure. You can reach me phone 843-259-8349, or email drlaura.coach. So that's drlaura.coach@gmail.com.
Thank you so much. Great conversation today. I mean, as always, but thank you. And I'm trying to teach my kids this whole don't be afraid, no fear, got to try it, got to do it. So
Yep.
thanks for reminding me to keep that as well. And it's very good to
Yep.
instill in our youngins.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.